Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, October 30th, a little bit before 8 o'clock at night, and this is our daily recap video for our 3 YieldMax weekly paying funds that we cover on the channel. Ulti, the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, LFGY, the Crypto Industry Portfolio Option Income Fund, and SLTY, the Ultra Short Option Income Strategy Fund. Reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1, letting you know when videos premiere and anything announcements from the different ETFs that we talk about on the channel, as well as just keep an eye out. So Ulti related, Ambassador Aquan held a Spaces talk earlier today with Michael Coe from YieldMax. Got into some talks about reverse split and just some other things. So definitely worth listening to. I participated a little bit in that. And we're also set up, related to this channel, Ulti Killer. So if you haven't already heard, 2 different companies have come out with their version of Ulti. One of them's even named Ulti, just with an I. That's from Rex Shares, and KYLD from Curve. Both are supposed to be coming out tomorrow. So we are going to have a talk and just kind of go over what they're doing, what they're trading, all the above that you're used to hearing about, to see what we think as far as is this a better option, or is it competitive, or are they just copying? And so if you don't have X, it's definitely worth it. I held off till I was 40 years old before I got X, but it's definitely a nice place to get lots of financial information. All right, if we look at the market today, it was an absolute bloodbath. It was ugly. So Ulti down 1.8%. Now we're showing in the after hours a 1% increase, so that's some good news. Hopefully that's got some volume to it, and it's not just a single trade, but just scrolling through everything that's in there, just a whole lot of red. Very bad. LFGY, even worse, 2.5% down. Again, just nothing but red. And so if everything's red, SLTY's going to make money, up 1.3% on the trading day. Now, 2 of the underlyings within Ulti, Coin, I forgot I got it moved down here for the other video. Coin and MSTR both announced their earnings after hours today, and both were, well received. Coin going up almost 3.5% after hours, and MSTR going up 5.5+%. So that will help with a little rebound tomorrow. Not a lot. I mean, they're 2 of 20 something underlyings, but still. All right, let's start off with our trades over in Ulti. And it's Thursday. We generally get a whole lot of closeouts on Thursday, preparing for everything else on Friday. So starting off, Affirm closing and rolling to next week, bringing in 1.7 million. As you can see, closing out for 2 cents a share, 1 and 2 cents a share on the calls, 6 and 18 cents on those sold puts that were used to help pay for the protective puts, and collecting $1.12 and $1.42. So I'm not going to go that level of detail on every one, but think about that. So they got the protective puts, which obviously did their job, brought in a decent chunk of money. They are going to win their options trades on the selling calls just because the price went down. But they also sold puts to help buy this protection in the first place. So they didn't really pay full price on them because they got to generate some income there, and then they made money selling them. So I can't tell you how much I like the collar strategy. And then I don't even know what you would call the selling of the puts to help buy the protective puts in the collar. If it's got its own extra name, I'll have to ask next time I get in a X space with them. Bitmine Immersion brought in $2.3 million, closing and rolling to next week. Again, closing out calls and puts for less than 10 cents, selling the protective puts for more than that, and then bringing in income selling next week's calls. Coinbase, this was just an adjustment of a put. So there was complaints about last week when things dropped pretty rapidly. Rocket Lab was one of them. I can't remember the other, but then they rebounded the next day. So the protective puts became very valuable, and then at the end, kind of not so much because of the rebound. So this time around, it happened again. And this is, I mean, talk about perfect. So they sold those protective puts at 335 and bought new ones for 325, keeping that difference of almost $1 million. And we already know that coin is bouncing after hours with the good earnings report. So that was kind of a risky play to do it on coin with earnings being announced after hours. But that worked out very well because you wouldn't have got that $1 million tomorrow on them. CoreWeave cost $3 million on the close and roll to next week. Obviously, the share price had rolled beyond the sold strike price, costing a lot to close it out. Galaxy, this is just one of the put spreads. It did go into the money, so that cost $2.2 million on the roll. Hims and Hers brought in $325,000. So let's see. Basically breaking just about even on the closeout, but making a decent difference between the call and the put, not selling any puts this time around. Just those protective puts are getting kind of pricey. They just don't have a ton of contracts to trade on that one. Iron brought in $2.6 million, rolling to next week. Lucid brought in $780,000, rolling to next week. So on a couple of these, as you can see, we're not selling the puts to help pay for the puts going into this one. Lulu, this is another put spread. That one that went into the money as well, so that cost $2.7 million. MP Materials Corp brought in $588,000, rolling to next week. MicroStrategy, I'm just going to keep calling it MicroStrategy. I don't like saying strategy. Closing and rolling to next week, and also selling some puts this time to help pay for the puts, offsetting them by almost 50%, $928,000 credit. Palantir has showed strength even through this recent downturn, so costing $3.1 million to roll them to next week as their share price went beyond the sold strike price on those calls. Quantum Computing bringing in $2.1 million, rolling to next week. Rocket Lab bringing in $1.9 million, again rolling to next week. Everything's rolling to next week. SMR, New Scale Power, cost $9.2 million. That one pretty much ruined our day. We just about broke even, and we only really had one expensive one to close out. So again, they stayed strong and kind of went beyond that strike price on the sold calls. SoundHound brought in $3.9 million. A lot of positions there to change over. It's funny that you do hear people say that the fund managers haven't been active. Like, how's like 100 trades a day not active? Symbotic cost $3.1 million, closing and rolling to next week, and Upstart brought in $5.1 million on the roll to next week. All in all, just about broke even on a $1 billion fund, trading millions this way and that way, and it was just a negative $52,000 a day. That's going to go along with a rough $94 million drop in the value of the shares within the fund. All right, so now we'll look at the holdings. Orange, if you haven't seen the channel, if we color it orange here, and then it corresponds with orange over here, we know that these no longer are in play. They've been closed and rolled, and we don't have to waste any time talking about them. So first off, Affirm Holdings down 5+%. All positions, all options got rolled the next week. We're done with them for the week. Bitmine Immersion, the big loser, down 10.4%. Everything got rolled. Cash, all of a sudden there's a ton of money. $126 million in cash and $242 million in government obligation funds. We call it dry powder. $369 million. We do understand that it actually is earmarked for the put spreads, but I still like to call it dry powder. Cypher down 2.6%. Even with that, their 1850 calls are still in the money. I want to say they started the week in the money, so it's it's a good thing that they've been patient and did not close these out. And so the rest of the week, these have been decaying. Obviously, tomorrow they will be closing them out. Coinbase. Oh, hold on. So the 1850s are just about 3% in the money, and 2150s are 12.7% out of the money. Both will be getting closed and rolled tomorrow. They've also got 18s for next week that are 5.6% out. Coinbase was down 5.7%. The only move made was selling of these protective puts that were in the money and getting to adjusting them to a lower strike price. But there's one more day to go, and we know that they're bouncing. Calls sold at 360, 250, and 375 are 10 to 14% out of the money. Their puts that they sold are 5.6% out as well. Excuse me. CoreWeave down 6.3%. They closed the positions that were deepest in the money at 129. They still have 130s in play, 0.8% in the money. They also closed out those puts that were sold, so the only thing left is the protective puts to go along with those 130s. Next we have Galaxy Digital. It was our put spread. They closed the whole thing and rolled it. It's way in the money. It really got beat up. Hims and Hers down about 5.5%. $51 calls are still in play, 15.7% out. They rolled the 53s, and they've got $40 puts that are sold, 9% out. Robinhood down 4.65%. These were both in the money yesterday. They're now out today, so another good job being patient. We had so much go into the money early this week, and they were patient and did not pay big money to close them out. So good job on that. Calls are at 140 and 144, 1.4 to 4.2% out of the money. All expiring tomorrow. Iron down 3.6%. Again, brought these 60s out of the money by 3% now, and they rolled the further out 67s. Lucid down 2.7%. 1950s are 11% out of the money. $15 puts sold are 14% out. Next we have Lululemon, another put spread, right? We don't have any shares on these put spreads. I've heard some people say that a put spread is like a synthetic collar. I haven't completely wrapped my head around it, but Max Convexity said he could show me the math, so I'll take his word on it. 180s did go in the money, but everything got rolled. MP Materials Corp, bucking the system here, decided to go up while everything else was going down, 1.1%. They did roll their further out of the money positions. Their 68s are still in play for tomorrow at 4.5% out. $58 puts sold are 10% out of the money as well. Strategy was down 7.5%. Not a good day to be in those leveraged MicroStrategy funds, that's for sure. Fortunately, we did see they're getting some of that back, a decent percentage of that back after hours. They did take the win and roll those farthest out of the money calls. 295s are still in play for tomorrow, way out 15+%, and $220 puts at 13% out are nowhere near trouble. Famous last words. Palantir down 2.1%. Everything closed and rolled. Quantum Computing down 3.5%. Everything closed and rolled. Boy, I like it when I get to do that. Not read through every number. Rigetti up almost 8% while everything else is going down. Actually taking their calls into the money by 0.5%. No big deal. They're literally 2 cents in the money. That will not cost that much to close out. What we don't want is a early Friday spike where they pay to close it out and then a trickle back down. That's always frustrating. $45 calls are also in play, 5.8% out. Their puts are not even close to being worried about, 20 and 23% out. Rocket Lab down 7.9%. They took the win on the further out position. 68s are still in play for tomorrow, 11+% out. Rocket Companies down just about 2%. Calls expiring tomorrow at 1850 and 1950 are 16 to 22.5% out of the money. NewScale Power down 2%. They closed the deeper in the money positions at this point. 42s are still in play for tomorrow, 0.5% in the money or 23 cents. And their $30 puts that they sold are not even remotely close to costing anything. Surprised they didn't just close them out, but I guess actually I'm starting to be surprised that they closed these sold puts out at all. Just let them expire worthless. They're usually 15 to 30% out of the money. Don't even pay the penny times 40,000 contracts. SoFi down 6%. These expire next week. They just started this fund a couple days ago, or this underlying within the fund. $32 calls are 10% out. Soundhound was down 7+%. Everything rolled. Symbotic down 0.6%. The deeper in the money calls did get rolled. The 77s are still in play for tomorrow. 0.33% in the money currently, or 26 cents. And they still have the $55 puts, portion of them in play too, 28% out. And Upstart was down, not so lucky, 7.77%. Everything got rolled, and that is how we had a $94 million decrease in the value of the shares within the fund. At the start of the day, there's $2.6 billion in assets under management. I want to say at the peak, did we go 3.5, 3.6? We might be $1 billion or 900 million down from our peak AUM. Yesterday, people sold out of the fund, pretty decent chunk, 7 million shares, bringing it down to 525 million. The NAV at the start of the day, 497. Today was distribution day. So I am actually curious. Leave it in the comments. I got a lot of comments last week about issues with at least Robinhood, maybe others, where their Ulti payment was like pending all day Thursday, all day Friday. Some didn't even get it till after the weekend. So I'm curious if you're seeing the same issues again this week, or if everything's been cleared up. And then I did add this. So I have a weighted move. So I basically took the percentage of money that's in each underlying multiplied by its change, and then combined them all together, and the average for everything. So if you had just purchased the same amount of shares or the same ratio of amount of shares of each of the underlyings, but not Ulti, you'd have lost 4.1% today. But by having Ulti, you lost 1.6%. So they are well protected when things move down. I don't know what else to say on that. People get upset when things go down. Well, that's because the underlying went down. But Ulti is going to outperform its underlyings on a downward move. That's your protective puts in action. That's your collecting premium selling calls. So I'll take that any day. All right, that's it for Ulti. We're 18 minutes in. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. LFGY. Next up, it's Thursday. We're closing and rolling lots of stuff. So Bitmine Immersions first brought in a credit of 117,000. So now you just got to get used to all the numbers aren't in the millions anymore. They're going to be in the thousands and hundreds of thousands, because this total fund is worth 200 million as opposed to 2.6 billion. So they're more than 10 times difference between the two. Core Scientific cost 616,000 on their roll. Circle brought in 124,000. ETHA, that's iShares Ethereum Trust, $131,000 credit. Galaxy, $185,000 credit on their roll. Hood cost them $435,000. Hut 8 Corp cost $190,000. IBIT, this was not a closeout or a roll. This is selling of a call spread. Selling the 62s and buying 6450s for next week. So that brought in 185,000. Mara, however you want to say it, was a credit of $223,000 on the roll. MBTX cost almost $15,000 to roll to next week. Mercado Libre cost $221,000. MSTR, this is only a partial. I think that's like half or maybe not even half of what they have. So that brought in 97,000. They'll be closing and rolling the rest tomorrow. NVIDIA cost $155,000 to roll to next week. PayPal brought in $85,000, and XYZ had a credit of $181,000, all getting rolled to the 7th of November, next Friday. All in all, it was a negative $300,000 trading day. That's the first line is always going to be realized. The second line is unrealized. This is just share values moving up and down. This one is options trading. So very ugly day, $9 million drop in the value of the shares. When we look at the holdings, bullish, which was just added yesterday, down almost 5%. Their calls are already out till next week at 57. They're 14% out. Bitmine Emerging, the big loser, getting that out of the way early, 10.4%. They rolled everything. BitDeer down 2.5%. $22 calls are still in the money by 2.3%, and $23 calls, these are the ones that matter, more than 10 times as many contracts, 2% out of the money. Cash, they got negative 14.8 million. Tag that, put that up with the government obligation funds of 21 million. So what are we looking at? 7 million in dry powder. Cypher Mining down 2.6%. Calls are already rolled to November, 15% out. CleanSpark was down 6.3%, so they were deep in the money, and good thing they didn't close them out for a huge cost yesterday. Instead, they're going to be pennies tomorrow. $18 calls are 1.75% out of the money. Coinbase down 5.77%. 342.50s are 4.2% out of the money. So those could end up close after Coinbase is bouncing after hours. They will probably end up with a nice update tomorrow. 3.5% increase. They're 4.2% out, so that could work out pretty perfect. Core Scientific down a little over 0.1%. They did roll those. They were deep in the money, so those cost them. Circle Internet Group down 6.8%. They took the win and rolled those. ETHA down 5.7%. Again, rolled everything. Galaxy Digital down 6%. Taking wins, rolling them out the next week. GameStop down 3.4%. So these 23s came out of the money now by 1.8%, and the 2350s are 4+% out. Robinhood down 4.65%, and they're still in the money. They did roll them though, so we're done with that. Hopefully they waited till most of that drop happened. Hut 8 Corp down 6.45% on the day. Everything rolled. iBit here, this is their, I believe it's I don't know if it's a swap or if it's just a deep in the money call. But in any case, for some reason, so they sold all their actual shares and then swapped them out for $10 calls. So I'm gonna just say it's a deep in the money call. And then they didn't do anything with that yesterday. That's what had me confused. But now today, we just talked about it on the trading page. They sold 2,581 call spreads off of that. So not quite sure why they would switch from owning the shares to representing the shares with a deep in the money call. Maybe one of you viewers has an answer and can put it in the comments for me. Mara down almost 6%. Everything closed and rolled. MBTX, they dropped as well. I don't have the percentage, but they closed out this call spread. They still have the put spread go until the end of the year. Puts at 255 are 1.5% in the money now. So those will increase in value nicely when we get the download. Mercado Libre, the big winner, 2.8%. That really stinks when everything goes down and the thing that you have goes up. Your contracts are already in the money, so you don't even get to realize any of it. So that's a bummer, but everything got rolled. Strategy, 7.5% drop. 302.50s. You saw they closed and rolled 250 of these, so there's still 200 48 left to roll tomorrow. 18% out. There'll still be a win tomorrow either way, unless MicroStrategy goes up 18% tomorrow. I don't see that happening. NU Holdings down a small amount, 0.19%. $16 calls are 0.3% in the money. NVIDIA down an even 2%. They closed and rolled what was left for this week. They have already rolled a portion at 217.50 to next week, 7.2% out. Opera was down 3%. They've got calls sold at 16 and 18 already for next month. They go to the 21st, 10 and almost 24% out of the money. PayPal down 2.5%. Everything got rolled. Riot Platforms down 4.8%. $24 calls are 13% out of the money. SharpLink, this is a new one. SBET is their ticker. Down 6%. That really stinks to add something and then it goes down 6% in the next day or two. But 1450s for November 7th are 13.5% out. And finally, Block XYZ down 3.3%. Everything rolled. That's how we got a $9 million decrease in the value of our shares. There was $231 million in assets under management at the start of the day. Yesterday, people bought into the fund 150,000 shares, bringing it up to just under 6.5 million. They do these creation units 25,000 at a time. So the next creation unit would get you to 6.5 million. NAV at the start of the day, 35.81. Share price dropped throughout the day to 34.85. Today was payment day, so we all got our 58.71 cents per share. The average call is still 6+% out of the money, and we'll be closing them out tomorrow. All right, and finally, we'll just do a real quick update on SLTY. So we've got Align Technology, ALGN. They closed everything out on that one. So you saw on the thumbnail that it's crossed off. Kratos Defense and Security, they bought to close a portion of their shorted shares, but not all of them, so they're still in play. And then they added Super Microcomputer, SMCI, to this fund. That's not great news. But then again, usually when they add something to this fund, it goes up. But they did start shorting SMCI, which got me a little nervous because I have SMYY, the yield boost fund from Granite Shares. So just quickly, trading wise, they made $600 on Align, 41,000 on ASTS. It cost them 2,000 to close out the contracts associated with the shorted shares that got closed out on Kratos. Nebius Group brought in a credit of 41,000. Reddit cost them 68,000 to roll, and SMCI, the brand new one, they started a reverse collar strategy, and that brought in 8,400. So all in all, they had a credit, a realized gain of $21,000 on the option trading side of things today, and they increased in value by 637,000 through the movement of the shares. All right, the big winner or gainer of the day, which would be bad in this case in a shorted fund, was Align Technology, up 4.9%. As you can see, that's going to drop the value, but basically everything else, I believe everything else went down. So it was a good day for the SLTY fund. Everything was down, meaning the market values would increase on everything except for Align. The big loser, Carvana, down 13.8%, and that only took their sold puts into the money by 3%. So that means they got to capture like 10 of the 13%. That's pretty good there. That alone increased the value of the shares by 117,000. They got 20 million in assets under management. So again, they're 10 times smaller than LFGY. So funny the way the math's working out right now. 550,000 outstanding shares. NAV at the start of the day just under 37, closing around 37.54. And if you are in this fund, I am not. Full disclosure, you got 61.77 cents per share. Average put is still 1.1% out. All right, that's all I've got for you. Video went a little longer than usual. There was a whole lot of trades on a Thursday, that's for sure. So I got a dad joke of the day, and then we'll get out of here. I got to catch up with my messages over here. We're all back and forth talking, prepping for this Ulti killer space. So thank you for watching. Appreciate all the likes, shares, and comments. I think I asked you a couple of times in the video to answer a couple questions. So if you got any information on the questions I asked, give me a hand. All right, dad joke of the day. Most people don't know that witches are really bad at math. Great at spelling, though. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good night. Good luck trading tomorrow. Don't forget it's Friday, so if you have options expiring, that you're going to want to close them out or roll them, or at least keep an eye on them. And I'll catch you in the next video.